I've been doing a bunch of mowing today here up at the main 6-acre site of Edible Acres, our first one. Where Sasha and I live, it's a half acre in total, and to be honest, our actual lawn, the mowable area, takes about 3 minutes with a weed whacker, and I love that. But this larger site has a bit of legacy lawn left here. This is my folks' land, and they like a bit of lawn, and to be honest, I think having a little bit of opening here or there is lovely. And there's huge numbers of pathways and spaces between garden beds. There's a lot to manage with mowing. And in one way, it feels ridiculous to make a video about permaculture mowing, but I think there's a lot to be said there around having that management work actually translate into a harvest. So I'm going to share some notes in this video on that. This one area of lawn, and I think in the grand scheme of things, for 6 acres of land to have, a quarter acre at most of lawn is not too bad. But this is probably the largest section of lawn that there is. This is actually the area where Sasha and I had a wedding celebration a number of years ago. Just big enough to put a big tent in here and have lots of friends come and hang out. So it's nice to preserve that opening. And you can see the way the mowing is done here is pretty close to what most folks do. My dad actually does the riding mowing here, and I appreciate him taking that on. And with the riding mower, it just kicks everything off to the side. You can see piles here. This is a very common looking thing, either with the riding mower or push mower, just have material ejected out. That's all well and good. It feeds the lawn, but I think we can do a little bit better when we're looking for a yield from this work. So when I'm doing mowing here, there are two tools that I use. Sometimes I use this electric riding mower. It's a Wabong riding mower that I got a couple of years ago. I absolutely love it. I'll talk about that someday. But the tool that I use actually the most is this electric push mower. Now, I'm not sponsored by these folks at all, although I'll tell you, if Greenworks, you want to send me another battery or two, I'll put them in the mower. But anyway, I've been using Greenworks for quite a long time. I actually committed to this a ways back, the 80-volt platform, because I have a chainsaw that works with this. I have a weed whacker. There's a couple other tools that I use that all use the same common battery. And so that's pretty helpful. And I will say, after 3 or 4 years of working with the system, I've just been thrilled. Get the battery charged up most of the way, drain it down just a tiny bit and put it away for the winter, clean the mower for the winter and leave it in the garage. And in the spring, it always works. And I use this quite a bit to manage most of the pathways around here. And critically, you notice that I have a bag on the back. And that, I think, is just about the most fundamentally important thing I want to convey, is the importance, if you're using a push mower, or if you have a riding mower that has an opportunity to bag material, it's always worth adding that. This only takes a few minutes to get this much green manure. I would venture a guess that every 2 bags worth of clippings is equivalent to around a hay bale worth of green manure. And this is incredibly valuable while I'm mowing. A very common theme to what I do is I'll mow for a bit until I can feel the machine getting a little sluggish, telling me that the bag is filled and that it's kind of getting backlogged. And then I'll bring the bag over. For example, here's a guild in front of me that's still relatively young. There's some river locust and Siberian peach. There's some Miyoga ginger and red currants and sea kale. And there's also this danger zone, this challenging zone, the interface between a lawn and where the garden begins. And that is almost always where I take these bags of material and dump them. And what that does is a few things. It's almost like grass homeopathically treats grass as far as weeds. But it fertilizes the edge of this garden space. It creates a pretty deep, challenging space for the grass to migrate. It conserves moisture in the soil there and makes for kind of like an edge of the space. So as this whole area gets mowed, I can bring that and continually define the outer boundary of a given guild, or an interface between where a raspberry patch and a lawn is growing, or even, for example, where some winter squash are sprawling. I may lift those vines and sneak some greens underneath, and that really supports and amplifies the plants I'd like and creates a little bit of a push against the lawn creeping into a garden space. got a bunch more mowing to do, mainly dealing with pathways today, but it felt worth making that note. Almost a little silly or cheesy to talk about mowing lawns on a permaculture channel, but I think what I'm getting at is that at any point in time when you're doing management in a landscape, if you're pruning trees, if you're weeding, if you're weed whacking, if you're mowing, to think through what the yields could be and how they could help push your systems in the directions you're hoping. And so again, you can see here, the last time I was here and did the mowing of the edge of this garden space, basically to get this area open for the shed wing we've been working on. This is the lawn clippings that went down. And so nothing came from off site. And now after a good rain, good deep deposition, it's a really good solid mulch, and down below it is moist. And soon enough, it will have killed the grass that was there. That's pretty special to have that be a byproduct of work I'm doing anyway. And it sure fertilizes the plants. So think about getting a bag if you don't have one for your mower. I'm going to link in the description. There's a company I bought a really big bag, especially if you're doing lots of leaves or taller material. It's called Able to Tech. That's worked decently well for me. It's a weird bag, but it works well. And that's the gist of it. Yeah, if you're mowing, think about collecting. And where does that get sent to help support the young systems that you have? Once they get to be this much of an insane jungle, they barely can even get in there, let alone need to mulch. But it's those interfaces and edge contexts where it is crazy useful to deposit what you mow. Thanks for watching.